Good evening, and welcome to the Senior Speech Education Recital of Ms. Carena Raymer. Tonight's performance was prepared under the instruction of Mr. Jacob Van Hall of the Speech Faculty and is in partial fulfillment for Carena's Bachelor of Science degree in Speech Education. Directly following the performance, Carena will be in the foyer to greet her guests. Will you please stand with me as I pray? Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this night. Thank you for Carena. Thank you for all the friends and family that were able to come support her tonight. I pray that you would bless this performance, help it to be her best one yet, and help the audience to enjoy this telling of the Nutcracker. We love you so much, God. Thank you for everything you do for us. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you. You may be seated.
12-year-old Fritz and his 10-year-old sister Marie sat huddled together outside of the drawing room. Early this morning, Fritz whispered secretly to Marie, I heard all kinds of noises, paper rustling and a loud pounding on the door. And then I saw a man with a large box under his arm go into that room. Why, who could it have been? Asked Marie. Godfather Drosselmeyer. Who else would it have been? Oh, I wonder what beautiful toy Godfather will make us this year. Every year at Christmas, the children's godfather made them a beautiful toy with working parts and people who moved all on their own. This time it must be a fortress with soldiers marching back and forth. Then when the enemy attacks, the soldiers inside will fire a cannon and it'll explode with a boom. No, I want a nice garden with a large lake and swans. And then a little girl comes out to the lake and feeds the swans with candy. Swans don't eat candy. Besides, Godfather's gifts are always too grown up for us anyway. As the children talked, it became very dark. A bright light appeared on the wall, and they heard a silvery bell ring, ting-a-ling, ting-a-ling. And the doors flew open, and such a splendor greeted them from the great drawing room. Then their mother exclaimed, Come, dear children, and see your gifts. The children ran straight to the table which held Godfather Drosselmeyer's gifts. There lay a large castle with gold towers and mirrored windows. The doors and windows flew open, and they saw tiny men and women richly adorned with trained hats and plumed robes promenading in the rooms. Even Godfather Drosselmeyer, no higher than your thumb, would appear at the door of the castle and go back into it again. Godfather Drosselmeyer, let me go into the castle. That cannot be done, his godfather replied. Well then, let the people come back out so I can examine them better. As the mechanism is made, so it must remain. Well then, I prefer my soldiers. I can move them back and forth however I want. And then Fritz went to the other side of the table and moved his soldiers back and forth to his heart's content. Marie, too, had slipped away, for she had also tired of seeing the dolls in the castle always doing the same thing. But as she was more polite than Fritz, she didn't want anyone to notice it. As Fritz went back to playing with his soldiers, Marie discovered something she had not noticed before. When Fritz moved his soldiers out of the way, a splendid little wooden man became visible, standing there under the tree quietly and modestly. Oh, that's an ugly doll. He's dressed like one of my soldiers, but his head is too big for his body, and his body's too big for his legs. Oh, leave him alone. Marie examined the little man intently, for she had taken a fancy to him at first glance. With his violet coat and boots of an officer, he wore a narrow, clumsy cape and a miner's cap. He had a good-natured expression on his face. His light green eyes shone with friendship and goodwill. Around his chin, he had a well-cared-for beard of white cotton, which accentuated the jolly smile on his lips. Oh, Mother, to whom does this jolly little man belong? That little man belongs to both of you. Marie's mother opened the doll's mouth very wide and showed Marie 2 rows of white pointed teeth. Marie, at her mother's request, placed a nut into his mouth, and crack! The little man had bitten it to pieces so that the shell fell away and only the kernel remained in Marie's hand. Oh, Mother! He must be a Nutcracker. He's a stupid doll. I don't want anything to do with him. And with that, Fritz opened and slammed the doll's mouth shut, and suddenly 3 little teeth fell out of his mouth. Oh, my poor Nutcracker! He's a stupid doll. He wants to be a nutcracker with a weak set of teeth. Give him to me, Marie. He's just a good for nothing. No, you can't have my nutcracker. Just see how sadly he's looking at me. You are a hard-hearted person. Well, the nutcracker belongs to me just as much as he does to you, so give him to me. Now, Fritz, as Marie is so pleased with your nutcracker, while you are treating him poorly, I am expressly placing him into Marie's protection. I am very disappointed in you. You ought to know that one never places a wounded soldier in rank and file. Fritz was much ashamed and crept over to the other side of the drawing room to move his soldiers into their night quarters. Oh, poor Mr. Nutcracker. Don't look so frightened. Marie took the nutcracker to the cabinet on the other side of the room where the children kept their beautiful toys. Fritz used the upper shelf as a barracks for his soldiers, but Marie used the lower shelf as a home for her dolls. Come now, Marie. It is almost midnight and past time for bed. Just a moment, Mother. I need to attend to my nutcracker, but then I'll go to bed at once. Go to bed soon, dear, or you won't be able to wake up in time in the morning. As soon as Marie was alone, she placed down her injured nutcracker and examined his wounds. The nutcracker was very pale, and he smiled at Marie so sadly that she became sad herself. Oh, Mr. Nutcracker, don't be angry that Fritz hurt you so. He didn't mean to do it. It's just that he's become a little hard-hearted with being so rough on his soldiers. But first thing in the morning, I will ask Godfather Drosselmeyer to fix your teeth and you'll be good as new. As Marie spoke, she noticed that her friend, the Nutcracker, drew down his mouth, and his eyes seemed to spout green sparks. Just as Marie was going to be surprised, she noticed that the Nutcracker had the same honest face again, with his same sad smile. It must have been the light flickering which changed his face. I am such a foolish girl to be so easily frightened and believe that a wooden doll would make faces. But I do love my Nutcracker, and for that reason, I will help him. Marie placed the Nutcracker in the cabinet and closed and locked the door. She was about to head into the bedroom when she heard a squeaking and whining coming from behind the cabinet. The tall grandfather clock whirred louder and louder, but it did not strike. Then Marie looked up and saw that the gilded owl sitting on top of the clock had been pushed forward. Then the owl spoke. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Softly purrs the clock. Little Mouse King's ears can hear. Whir, whir, whir. Sing him the songs of yore, for soon he'll be no more. Strike, clock, strike! And boom, 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 the clock struck with a muffled and hollow sound 12 times. Marie, now badly feared, was about to run away. When she looked up and saw Godfather Drosselmeyer sitting on the clock instead of the owl. Godfather Drosselmeyer, what are you doing up there? Come down and don't frighten me so. Then Marie heard furious giggling and whispering coming from all around her. It sounded as though 1,000 little feet were tromping through the floor, and 1,000 little lights were shining through cracks in the floorboards. But they were not lights. No, they were shining eyes, and Marie became aware that everywhere mice were peeping through cracks in the floor. Just then, Marie heard such a shrill whistle that chills ran down her back. Just in front of her feet, as if it had come up through the floor, there stood a large mouse with a bright crown glistening on his head. Come out, Shrills! Fire loud squeaks, and the entire regiment moved forward at once. Marie turned round and heard a low, pleasant voice in the cabinet saying, "Wake up, we must fight, we must fight." The dolls were all waving their arms excitedly. And all at once, Mr. Nutcracker arose, calling loudly, "Hello, foolish mouse pack! My dear friends and brethren, will you assist me in this combat?" Then Major Fritz's generals cried out, "Yes, sir! We will cleave to you most loyally. We will go forward with you to combat victory or death." Then the Nutcracker jumped from the edge of the cabinet to the floor, beat General Arch, trusty drummer. Very loudly and at once, the drummer began so that the sound echoed through the cabinet. Fritz's soldiers went again, and they jumped down to form a battalion. Regiment after regiment marched past, bowling the mice over. Still, the mice came nearer and nearer, and their bullets could be heard as they struck the glass of the cabinet. "Onward! We are stronger than they! Find the Nutcracker and surround him! The reserves forward!" panted on Timber. Scaramouche, where are you?" Now the Nutcracker was almost entirely surrounded by the enemy and was in great danger and distress. "Oh, a horse! My kingdom for a horse!" Two mice came forward and grabbed hold of the Nutcracker's wooden cape and sword. And in triumph, the Mouse King sneered, "You are weak and alone, Nutcracker! And now you will pay for your deeds." "Oh, my poor Nutcracker!" Marie took off her left slipper and threw it into the pack of mice. There was confusion, and Marie felt as though she were floating. Then she sank to the floor in a faint. "She's awake!" Marie sat up in bed with a start. The bright sun was shining through the windows, and her mother was standing next to her bed. "Oh, Mother! Are the horrible mice gone? Is my Nutcracker safe?" "Don't worry, my child. All the mice are gone, and your Nutcracker is right here, safe and sound. But see, this is what happens when you don't listen to your mother. You were playing very late last evening, and you must have become sleepy. Perhaps a little mouse came out and frightened you, although we rarely see them. Thank heavens, I awoke, and seeing that you were not in your bed, I went and found you in the drawing room. And there you were, with Fritz's soldiers and your dolls all around you. The Nutcracker was on your arm, and not far away was your left slipper. Yes, Mother, there was a horrible battle between the mice and the Nutcracker, and I was so scared that I threw my slipper to scare away the mice, and... Well, after that, I don't remember what happened." "Oh, dear, you must have hit your head when you fell. Best stay in bed today." Just then, the door flew open, and Godfather Drosselmeyer entered the room. "Well, I wanted to see for myself how Marie is getting on today." "Godfather Drosselmeyer, you were very horrid last night." "I saw you sitting on the clock when the Mouse King came." Why didn't you come to the aid of my Nutcracker and me? It is your fault that I'm ill in bed. Marie, how could you say such a thing? Don't mind the child. Pendulum goes click, clock, tick, tock, tick, tock. Marie would have been very afraid of Godfather Drosselmeyer if Fritz, who had come in just then, had not interrupted with his loud laughing. Oh, you are too comical today. You remind me of my Jack-in-the-Box. I grew tired of him and threw him behind the stove. Fritz, be polite. Now, Drosselmeyer, what do you mean by such antics? You're upsetting Marie. Don't you remember my clock song? I always sing it to patients like Marie. Don't be upset that I didn't at once defeat the Mouse King. It could not be done. Instead, I will tell you, if you wish to hear, the story of Princess Pirlipat, Lady Mouserinks, and your Nutcracker. Oh, couldn't you tell any other story? The stories you tell, Marie, always go the same way. There's a princess, she meets the prince, they fall in love and live happily ever after. It's disgusting. Oh, this story is full enough of intrigue for even an adventurous lad like you. Oh, begin, dear godfather. Once there was a beautiful land made of sweets, where toys come alive. The king and queen had a beautiful daughter, the Princess Pirlipat, the most beautiful princess to ever be born. One night, as the queen entered the nursery, she heard a horrible voice saying, "I, too, am a queen. I want to feast also." The queen recognized the voice at once. Oh, that is the voice of the evil Lady Mouserinks. Yes, and now you will acknowledge me as your equal. As the queen of Mousedom, or you will face the wrath of my 7 sons. As she spoke, these sons came up through the walls and surrounded the queen so that she was much frightened and could not defend herself. Luckily, the high stewardess just then appeared. Off with you evil vermin! You will not terrorize my queen! Oh, the horrid rodents must be banished from my castle. Don't worry, milady. We will set a trap and crush the horrid creatures. All we need is for cook to serve a lovely meal. The mice will come running at the smell, we'll catch them and rid ourselves of them. And so it was. The next time that cook served a meal, Lady Mouserink's 6 oldest sons were not able to resist the sweet smell of the food. Just as they were beginning to nibble, they were caught up in a trap and taken to the kitchen to be cruelly executed. But that night, when the queen entered the nursery, she saw Lady Mouserinks standing in Pirlipat's cradle. Help! Help! Oh, the most horrible of them all is attacking my daughter! Oh no! Godfather, what happened to Pirlipat? The queen screamed for help, but it was no use. In that instant, Mouserinks disappeared through the hole in the corner of the room. Pirlipat awoke at the noise and began to cry. But when the queen looked at her daughter, she saw that the beautiful creature had been changed. Oh, it can't be her hair. It's a horrible color. And her beautiful azure eyes, they're such an awful green. And her smile, it now goes from ear to ear. Well, she wasn't vain or anything. Fritz, be polite. It must be a horrible shock to see your child in such a way. Indeed, so much so that when the king found out, he called for all of his advisors and demanded that they find a way to restore Pirlipat to her former condition. The advisors read book after book until they discovered that only the kernel of a rare Krakatuk nut cracked by a man who had never shaved or worn boots, could break the enchantment. The entire king's army searched and searched for 15 years and could not find this nut, until they stumbled upon a doll carver in the city of Nuremberg. When he heard their plea, the doll carver snapped his fingers several times, spun around on one foot, held his breath, and demanded and cried out that he himself had the Krakatuk nut. The travelers excitedly purchased the nut and settled to return to the castle, but were stopped when the doll carver's son appeared. Let me guess, he was the handsome prince who would break the curse. Why, boy, you are getting ahead of the story. It is true that the young man was a tall and well-built young man who had never shaved or worn boots. They set off and returned to the castle, where the young man presented the nut to the king, put it in his mouth, bit it down, cracked the shell away, and gave the kernel to the princess. She swallowed it, and then she was beautiful again, and the entire court celebrated. Yes, however, in the confusion, the young man stepped on the squeaking and whining Lady Mouse Rinks. In that instant, the young man was just as deformed as Perlipat had been. But Lady Mouse Rinks was not to go unpunished. As she was dying, she squeaked out, "Nutcracker will soon pass away. The youngest son with the crown shall repay and avenge his mother. A wife so full of joy. From you I must depart." With that cry, Lady Mouse Rinks died. But the young man was now so ugly that the king banished him from the castle and set him off alone to fight the evil Mouse King. Oh, how horrible of my Nutcracker to be so brave and be so cruelly rewarded. If the Nutcracker were really that brave, he would find the Mouse King, defeat him, and be back to his old self again. Now, Godfather Drosselmeyer, you fixed the Nutcracker's teeth. And I suppose his jaw isn't as shaky as it was either. But what about his sword? You always have to find fault and criticize, boy. What concern of mine is the Nutcracker's sword? I guess you're right. If he amounts to anything, he'll find himself some weapons. As soon as Marie was well again, she went to the cupboard where she found the Nutcracker smiling at her with perfectly sound teeth. As she stared at her beloved, she became frightened and remembered the story that Godfather Drosselmeyer had told her. She picked up the Nutcracker and looked at his eyes. He remained lifeless, but she knew that the story Drosselmeyer had told her was real. Oh, my poor Nutcracker, to do such a brave thing and be so cruelly rewarded. I will help you, whatever you need. She set the Nutcracker back on the cabinet and went and found Godfather Drosselmeyer and sat down next to him. Now, Godfather Drosselmeyer, I am convinced that my Nutcracker is a prince, just like you told me in the story of Princess Perlipat. But if you know that he's at open war with the mean Mouse King, why won't you help him? Oh, Marie, you have been favored above the rest of us. You will suffer much if you intend to help the Nutcracker, as the Mouse King is off to get him on every highway and byway. Not I. You alone can help the Nutcracker defeat the Mouse King if you are selfless and loyal. woke up on a bright moonlit night to the sound of squeaking and whining coming from her room. Oh, the mice are here again. She sat up in bed, but felt paralyzed by fear as she watched the Mouse King push himself up through a hole in the floor and run about her room. With one leap, he jumped up onto the table beside Marie's bedside and said, "Give me your sugar cookies and your candy, little girl, or I will bite your nutcracker. Your nutcracker." And then he jumped down and disappeared through the hole in the floor again. Oh, I can't tell my mother or Fritz, for surely they will laugh at me. No. If I am going to save my nutcracker, I must give up my sweets. Marie placed all of her candies on the ledge of the cupboard. She was not sad, however, believing that this would help her nutcracker. In the morning, all of the candy was gone, except for a few pieces, which the greedy Mouse King evidently did not like. Marie was overjoyed at believing she had saved her nutcracker. But that night, she heard the same hissing and whining sound again. "Give the pan, little girl, or I will bite your nutcracker." And then the mean Mouse King ran away again. Marie got up and went and looked at her nutcracker, who was smiling at her with that sad smile, and she burst into tears. "Oh, Mr. Nutcracker, I would do anything to save you, but surely it isn't easy." Marie picked up her nutcracker and felt him coming to life in her hand. Quickly, she placed him back on the cabinet, and then her nutcracker spoke to her. "Oh, Marie, loyal friend, nothing more shall you sacrifice for me. Just produce a sword, and leave the rest to me." Marie was comforted by these words and decided to confide in Fritz for advice on helping her nutcracker. "You were right to come to me for help on this. I retired an old colonel a few weeks ago. He'll have no more use for his sword." Fritz took the old colonel, relieved him of his silver sword, and fastened it to the nutcracker. That night, Marie could not sleep as she was terrified the Mouse King would return. Around midnight, she heard a hissing sound from the hallway. "The Mouse King!" She waited and waited and waited, but no one came. Then she heard a knock, knock, knock at the door. "Dear Marie, it is I. You may open the door. I have good news." Marie sat up and ran to the door. She opened it, and there stood the nutcracker. When he saw Marie, he knelt at her feet and said, "Dear Marie, it is you who gave me the strength in your arms and the courage in my heart to subdue the insolent fellow. The treacherous Mouse King is now destroyed. Would you accept from the hand of your devoted servant this proof of victory?" The nutcracker held out the gold crown that the Mouse King had worn, and Marie was delighted with the gift. "Oh, Marie, what wonderful things I could show you at this instant now that I have subdued my enemy. If you would follow me a few steps, please come, dear lady." The nutcracker led Marie to a wardrobe in the hall. He rapped on the door, and a dainty flight of cedarwood steps came down. "Would you be good enough to go up?" "I will." She had scarcely passed through the door when she found herself in a meadow with everything tinged a rosy hue. She looked out and saw a silver-white lake with swans swimming in it. "Oh, that is the lake Godfather Drosselmeyer is going to make me. I am the little girl who is going to feed the swans." "Your godfather could never produce anything like this." "That over there, that is the capital." The capital was unlike anything Marie had ever seen in her life. Instead of roofs, all of the buildings had dainty braided crowns on top. She walked through walkways and archways made of macaroons and candied fruit. until she stopped in front of the most beautiful palace she had ever seen. There were 100 gold towers, and every window had a crimson light shining in it. It was beautifully adorned with tulips, violets, and narcissus. Oh, that is a beautiful sight. That is the Sugar Plum Castle. Marie was speechless before the enchanted palace. Just then the doors flew open and princesses and pages came rushing out to meet them. The Nutcracker grabbed Marie's hand before declaring, "This is Lady Marie. It is she who saved my life. If it hadn't been for her, I would by this time be in my grave, bitten to pieces by the cursed Mouse King." Then the Nutcracker recounted the story of how the mice had almost surrounded the Nutcracker and his army when Marie threw her left slipper into the army of mice. As the Nutcracker told his story, Marie felt herself floating through the pink clouds, going higher, higher and higher, and then she was falling. Marie sat up in bed with a start. The sun was shining through her windows, and her mother sat by her bed again. "Oh, Mother, where have I been?" "Oh, I remember. I went to the land of the sweets with the Nutcracker last night. Mother, I saw the most beautiful things." "You had a very long, pleasant dream, my child." "I didn't dream it. I saw it all. Sugar plum castles, crimson lakes, and windows, and... See, Mother, this is the crown that the Nutcracker gave me as proof he defeated the Mouse King." "Don't lie to me, child. Tell me at once where you got this crown." Just then, the door flew open and Godfather Drosselmeyer entered. "Well, what is going on here?" "A friend Drosselmeyer, Marie has been caught telling a falsehood on where she got this crown. She claims she got it from the Nutcracker as proof that he defeated the Mouse King. This is what I get for letting you fill her head with stories." "Nonsense! I gave Marie a crown just like this one for her 2nd birthday. Don't you remember?" No one did. But of course, nobody believed Marie about her strange adventure either. Still, pictures of the land of the sweets played over and over in her mind. They called her a dreamer, and truly she was. But in the magic of Christmas time, children dream wonderful things. And who can say which dreams are fairy tales and which have come true?